Hey, so what's going on, everyone? It's me, Mr. Mario, and today I'm going to be talking about, kind of showing you and unboxing this package right here, which inside of it is a XRGB-mini, otherwise known as the FRAMEMEISTER. Now, just kind of a quick thing right here. Some people might be asking what this does, why I want it, anything like that. In short, it is a HDMI upscaler, so it takes a ton of different formats, which I'll show you all right here, upscales them, and I'm mainly wanting it, for older consoles and everything, but also for SCART especially. Now, a while ago, I unboxed this on my channel, which this is a Panlong brand SCART to HDMI output adapter right here. And this is SCART. So why the hell is SCART such a big deal? Well, because SCART is awesome. A lot of people who might be, across upon the UK, anything like that, this is probably standard to you. You all have seen this. In the US, a lot of people are probably asking, what the hell is this thing? This is what we didn't get. We ended up getting composite, which is ass, to be honest. So what we're going to be doing right here is unboxing this. Now, I didn't get it from a, superficial source or anything like that. It's not like I got it from the manufacturer directly. I actually got it from Assembler Games, from a guy named Yokomo. I don't know how exactly you pronounce his name, but he is in Japan, and he has a bunch of these that he is reselling, so I ended up picking up one off him. And it is the XRGB-mini itself, brand new. It is comes with a remote. It's in English, has the latest firmware on it. And it also came with, I ended up purchasing a component to D-terminal adapter, which if you don't know what that is, I will show you once I kind of get this thing open. Alright, so here we have it. We have the XRGB-mini FRAMEMEISTER, Japanese all over it, and let's see, from what I see, it sells for a MSRP of 38,800 yen, which the nice thing is I was able to pay less than that, which just slightly less, that's the thing. And I'm checking, there's nothing else in the box right here, so we can go ahead and throw that over to the side. So first off, I will say he packed up the box very nicely. If anyone's interested in this, by the way, I will put his link down below in the description, because I told him, I'd unbox this on camera and everything. And trust me, I'm buying this myself. It's not like I'm sponsored or he gave it to me for free. I wish he did, dude. This is like, this right here is, this is a little less than 400 bucks, honestly, with the device, the adapter, and the shipping and handling. And by the way, the shipping took exactly 1 week from Japan to the US. But right here, essentially, it shows you have, you're able to take, either RF, composite, whatever it is, RGB, also D-terminal right there, and it outputs to HDMI. I believe that's, that's not RF, but it shows it anyways, close enough on there. No, that's S-video, my bad. So composite, S-video, RGB, and D-terminal. Let's see, outputs it at full HD 1080p. Also supports HDCP, which is cool enough, I guess, on there. On the side, anything really worth showing or mentioning? Not really, to be honest, not really. Then back here, a lot more stuff. So if y'all are able to read that, fantastic. If not, it's all good. But yeah, it just shows again the inputs right here, and then the output, which is going to be 1080p HDMI. Now, the nice thing is with this, it also supports scanline options. It has really low latency, all that good stuff. Essentially, people say, if you want to play older systems on a newer TV at the highest possible quality with the least amount of input lag, this thing, like no exceptions, this thing right here. So I've never seen one in person, but let's go ahead and crack this thing open right here. And oh, that is nice. Let me move this lamp a bit. So there we go. We're not going to have it be blinding. Let's check this out. So those are the instructions and everything, which I'm probably not going to be reading, to be honest, especially since they're in Japanese, so I can't read them. That looks like a stand, so you can have it sitting up vertically. And then here we go, the FRAMEMEISTER itself. So let me go ahead, check this thing out. So I will say, I was expecting it to be heavier, but still light enough. I was actually expecting it to be smaller, but it is bigger, so that's cool. Now that's where your RGB input is going to be. That's the RGB SCART. You got, of course, Americans are going to be familiar with this, the composite, maybe even S-video. I've actually never ever used S-video. And then right here you have HDMI out, but you also have a few other things. You have D-in, which is D-terminal, so you have the video and the audio right there. And then you have two HDMI inputs, USB and, of course, your power right there, which if you're running this in the United States or Japan won't be an issue. If you're running it in Europe, you're probably, most likely, definitely going to need a step-down converter. So yeah, if you're in Europe, you're looking at this thing to buy it, make sure you have a converter on that. And also SD micro support. Did not know that was a thing right there. So sweet. Alright, let's go ahead and move this over to the side. What about this thing? What all is in here? Oh! Looks like there's batteries that come with it. That's the power supply. Is there anything else? There we go. Okay. Good thing he included it. But this right here is D-terminal. So D-terminal is something that Japan got, and this is my first time ever seeing D-terminal, but essentially you can use, component on this, which is cool. I'm going to be, hooking it up right here. It just goes up at the top. And then essentially, if you have anything you want to hook up via component, so, it could be like an original Xbox, PS2, something like that, if you don't have RGB for it, or the original Xbox didn't have RGB. But you take, RGB is in SCART. You just plug in your component, wires right there, audio goes there, there you have full component. So I don't know, to be honest, if they had component. It looks like they had D-terminal, but I don't know if Japan got component. Oh, and also a very important thing right here, I almost just completely ripped this off. I'm used to VGA and all that where, you can just plug it in or out and then you have to twist it around. This thing has some pinchy things right there. So in yen, this adapter was another 1,000 yen, just letting you all know. And then this thing I think was selling for 38,000 yen. That's it. Oh, and then right there you have power, input, menu, up, down, left, right, okay, all that stuff. And then what is this thing? Oh, yes, this is what I'm going to need to hook up via, what is it, RGB. There we go. Okay, this is the beauty right here. So I'll show you all, for example. Let's say I want to hook up a PlayStation variant on here in RGB. So essentially I need to make sure I have my cable right here. I'm going to have the adapter. So I plug this into this. I guess, is that how it goes in? Looks like these are kind of stiff, but I think that's the furthest it goes. Let me try. Yeah, it looks like that's the furthest it's going to go. Any further, I'm going to break it. And then you take this guy right here, you plug it into the front, and that's it. So if you're in the US and you want to use RGB or SCART, or RGB SCART specifically, you're going to need to get an adapter no matter what. It just depends on the adapter you get. Now, I haven't spoken on this adapter yet because essentially there's a few issues that I have with it personally. And what I want to do before I complain about them is I want to try out this thing, and if it alleviates the issues I'm having or it doesn't, I'm going to let you all know. So, final thing that we can unbox right here is the remote itself. Let's go ahead, rip this thing open. Alright, and looks like a cheap DVD player remote, to be honest. That's kind of what I expected. And the batteries go in there. Fantastic. Alright, so is this thing worth the $400? Honestly, I'm probably going to say at this point to most people, no. But if you are somebody who's interested in this, you're probably willing to at least save up the money or spend the money on here. So what I'm going to do is, the thing is, there's a lot of profiles that you can use and a lot of settings. So I bet when I use this the first few times, I'm barely going to even scratch the surface. What I'm going to do is I'm going to play around with it, I'm going to try it out, and after the little cut and edit right here, I'm going to let you all know what I think of it. Alright, so now that we're back over with the FRAMEMEISTER, as you can see, well, I have it paused at the moment, but right here I have the FRAMEMEISTER and I've got a few pieces of hardware added to it. So it's been about 3 or 4 weeks since I have recorded that previous part that you all just saw. Right here, as you can see, I have a 5-to-1 adapter right here. Just you can put 5 different types of SCART inputs in there. This is kind of important because 1, for convenience, and 2, because SCART adapters can kind of wear down quite a bit. So I got this from the UK. And I also got another thing that was crucial to this setup, and that is why I waited so long to finish recording this video and making it. It is this little cable right here, which looks a lot like the thing that I just got, but you know what the difference is? Well, I'm going to tell you all real quick. This right here is a, not a JP21, this is a SCART to RGB-mini or XRGB-mini adapter. Now you all might be asking, why didn't I use the cable that came with it? Well, that's simple. One, this thing actually has a nice added bonus where it uses the power right here from the FRAMEMEISTER for sync, but also I found out there is a difference between JP21 and SCART. This thing is RGB over JP21 compatible. It is not RGB over SCART compatible. That means if you are using RGB SCART, you have to either rewire your SCART cables to JP21, which is a Japanese standard that looks the exact same on the outside but is different on the inside, or if you don't want to buy new cables or resolder or rewire all of them, you can get one of these adapters, which I got from a cable site for like 20 or 25 bucks, something like that. So as you can see, I mean, this does add up. If you're going to be getting the FRAMEMEISTER, it's not like you're trying to cheap out on this. But I have to say, so far, I've played a few different systems on here. I have Sonic 2, which is a Genesis game, playing on the Sonic Jam Collection, which is on my Sega Saturn. So I've tried the Saturn, I've tried my RGB modded N64, and I've also tried the PS1, and I'm going to talk about my impressions over some gameplay right here before I spoil it. But I have to say, this thing is awesome. It's not for everyone, but it's awesome. So now, as you can see, there is some gameplay that's going to be running. While I'm going to show you this from different systems, I'm going to talk about the FRAMEMEISTER and my thoughts on it. Now, prior to this, my only other SCART adapter, because I primarily bought this thing for SCART, my other thing that I had was a Panlong branded SCART to HDMI adapter that was about 50-60 bucks. And honestly, it gets the job done, don't get me wrong, but I have to say, I bought the FRAMEMEISTER hoping it would be much better than that, and it is so much better than that. Not only do the fact that you have a ton of customization, as you can see from the menu right here, where you can just select everything, you have a fully upgradable firmware, the quality on this thing is great, but in addition to that, it has two major things that I found on here that I did not have with the Panlong adapter. First off, you know, selecting everything, changing around the settings, that was great. While with the Panlong one, all you can really do is PAL, NTSC, and resolutions. That's about all you can change. Second is also aspect ratio. That seems pretty basic, doesn't it? Well, the Panlong adapter did not have that. You see, the Panlong one, whenever I would hook up anything to it, it always stretched the image, and the thing is, it wasn't even proportionate 100%, like it was a little bit too far over, and it just, I knew that SCART had to look better. Now, is it a good entry point if you don't want to spend a ton, but you want to get into SCART? Absolutely. But if you are more serious about it, or you're like myself, where you just want to have that extra nicer quality, the FRAMEMEISTER, you definitely cannot go wrong with it, and I can see how this box gets so much hype. So I have to say, I am extremely impressed with this thing, and I love it. Now, unfortunately, the price comes at a factor. It is expensive. You have to get the FRAMEMEISTER, then you're going to have to get your SCART cables, then you're going to have to get the systems that you want to run everything with. Then several systems might not have SCART available on them, so you're going to have to get them modded, or you're going to have to mod them yourself. And then, if you make the same mistake I did, you're going to buy the FRAMEMEISTER with the little SCART adapter that comes with it, and realize that it doesn't do RGB SCART, it does RGB over JP21, which is a different standard than SCART. So then you're going to have to go and figure out a way to get RGB SCART running on this box. And once you have all that stuff, if you're really devoted to getting that, oh my god, it is great. Now, granted, I'm also going to say that not everything looks awesome. I did play a little bit of Ridge Racer on PS1. My god, that game looks phenomenal. I have to say, this is pretty much my reaction when I played it. Huh. This looks exactly like how it did when I was a kid. Oh my god, this looks the way it did when I was a kid. You see, if you don't understand the significance with that, essentially what happens is a lot of people I know, they get in this N64, they get a PlayStation 1, they hook it up to their 55-inch 4K LCD or LED TV, and then they complain and say it looks like trash. They're like, well, you know, I remember it looking a lot better when I was a kid. And you're actually not wrong on that. That's not nostalgia. The games did look better because you probably played on a tube TV where composite looked better on that. With these ones, it doesn't. But also with this, if I am using SCART on my systems and using the FRAMEMEISTER, not only I can play it on my TVs easily, I can also play this on my monitor as well too, which is great. And everything looks solid and I can record it all with ease. I absolutely love this thing so far. I can't wait to play around with it more, and it has everything I need. So far, I'm not disappointed with this product at all. Again, though, there is effort that goes into this, and there's money that you're going to have to put into this, so I only really recommend it if you're serious about it. Most people, this is probably going to be overkill for them, but if you're out there saying, I definitely want to devote the money and time to this, and I want the best quality, FRAMEMEISTER's excellent for that, man. Also, that's if you don't want to go out and get a really nice CRT or a PVM monitor or anything like that. Personally, I myself, I don't want to get that stuff because it is big and bulky, and there's a reason why I went to flat screens, man. They're so much better with many different aspects.
Now, going back to the quality on the games themselves, I will say Ridge Racer, when I sampled that, it looked incredible on there. Now, there's other games, for example, I played a little bit or just tried going into Conker's Bad Fur Day. The N64, it's kind of hit and miss. Most of the time, games don't look super impressive in SCART, to be honest, but kind of like Conker's Bad Fur Day. But there's other games that do look impressive in there. I also played around with the Saturn, where I tried the little Sonic World demo on Sonic Jam, and it didn't really look that good. Honestly, that's more the graphics themselves, not so much the actual game. But then I played No Sonic 2 on there, and it looked great, aside from the graphical slowdown, unfortunately, that comes with that game for some reason. So honestly, with those older systems, you know, like the Nintendo, the Super Nintendo, Genesis, all those systems right there, you're going to get excellent quality coming out of there. And that doesn't mean that the quality is going to bog down. It's just, for example, my RGB modded N64, it looks good, but it's like, well, I don't know, I thought that was going to look better. I mean, it looks good, but I thought it was going to look better. It didn't explode to me like other systems did. But I will still say, I think my most pleasant surprise was Ridge Racer. Like, my God, everything popped out at me on that. The last thing I want to say is some people, I don't know, I feel like this needs to be said because this is kind of a selling point on the FRAMEMEISTER, and somebody please explain this to me. I'm really not trying to be arrogant about this or anything like that, but there is a scanline feature on here now. Essentially what that means is you can enable scanlines, and you know how when you were younger and you looked at a CRT TV and you had kind of the lines going across? Yeah, you can emulate that feature, and it emulates it quite well on these monitors. Now, personally, for me, the reason why I don't understand this is because when I go out and get these cables, get these systems, get these games, and get all the hardware needed, I want to pull the best quality I can, as clean as possible, out of the original hardware. I'm not trying to add scan lines to it. I don't know if people think it has authenticity or if it really makes it look better or what. Personally, as I said, I would rather the screen be clean. That's what I'm wanting, and that's what I'm trying to pull out of my systems. Now with that, again, I will say my final thoughts on the FRAMEMEISTER. If you're willing to put the money down, if you have the systems, if you have the patience, if you have the cables, my God, it is an incredible experience to play your retro games like this, and it was just a treat to see them like this on my monitor. It was excellent to see that. For anybody that says, oh, I can just play them through an emulator, this is not for you at all. It's not. For people that say, I don't want to spend that much money on a box, this is not for you. And I'm not saying it's a bad thing, I'm just saying this is not for you at all. But if you're like me, where you're wanting to get, you know, that better quality, you want it to be versatile so I can move this between my screens and everything, and I still want to play on the original hardware but get the best audio video quality out of it, this box is for you. And the only other thing that would be a step down from this, really, that you should consider would be something like the pan-long adapter. But even with that, it's like, that's more if you just want to get SCART going and you don't want to put hundreds of dollars into it. You want to put about 50 or 60 in. So maybe you might be like me and you'll get that and it will suffice for about a year or two and then you'll want something better. Or maybe you'll get that and that'll be perfectly fine for you. But either way, I give this a great review so far. I love this thing. Anyways, this is Mr. Mario signing off. Thank you all for watching, everyone. And I think I might do a more in-depth video on this sometime. Let me know if you all want that.